Now in your orientation checklist, there were these nice pictures in here. They have a lot of notes on them, and they're going to give you a great visual indication of a lot of the safety things that I'm going to talk about while we review this quiz. So make sure that you have both your safety quiz that's already completed and then the visuals from your orientation checklist. We're going to work through the visuals first, and then we're going to notice which questions correlate when we review the quiz together. Feel free to make any notes, and as we go and correct these questions, make a note if you got something wrong and highlight the correct answer. First, we see what commercial warning lines look like. Warning lines indicate where you do and do not need to have fall protection on. So that would be like your harness with an anchor. If you're between the edge of the roof and the warning line, you're going to need fall protection. If you're on the inside of the warning lines, you do not need fall protection. Warning lines need to go up to a maximum of 39 inches. That's a magic number throughout a lot of this quiz. We're going to talk about that. The minimum is 34 inches. You want it to go up about hip height and not go about lower than your knees. The whole goal in having warning lines is for people to not get clotheslined and to not have a trip hazard or maybe something that they can just walk over. Finally, how far away from the roof edge can the warning line be? 6 to 10 feet. There's a question in there that'll spell it out. If you have mechanical equipment on site and you can't remember when it's 6 and when it's 10, just remember 10 feet. If there's no mechanical equipment, it's 6 feet from the roof edge. Next, we see someone with their harness on. It shows that their anchor point needs to be center of the back and shoulder level. And it shows an arrow because fastening directly above you is the safest way to attach your harness. Obviously on a roof, that's going to be pretty hard to do. So the next best thing you can do is the picture to the right of that. You can see that the worker has their harness properly attached center of the back shoulder level, and they're fastened to an anchor that's free and clear of any tools, material, debris, or other people. That anchor can only have one person attached to it, and it needs to be capable of holding 5,000 pounds or more. You might be thinking that's a lot, so I gave you a little bit of math to help break it down for you and so that you can work backwards on site when you see other weight limits. If you have a 250-pound roofer standing on a weight scale, it's going to read 250 pounds. If they jump up and land on the weight scale, it's going to read more than 250, and that's because of gravity. Whenever you're fastened to an anchor, it needs to not just support your body weight, but your body weight falling. So gravity, we call 10. So 250 times 10, that's 2,500 pounds. Then you have a safety factor of 2, putting you at 5,000 pounds. Next, we have a roof diagram that gives you all kinds of layers that are in a flat roof. Those are very interesting and great. I hope you learn them someday, but right now, I just need you to know what a parapet is. It's circled. It's that perimeter wall that goes around the roof. Those need to be 39 inches tall or higher to be used as fall protection. What that does is prevents workers from falling off if they were to bump into that wall. If the walls are too low, that just becomes a trip hazard and it's not going to prevent you from falling. If it's taller than 39, even better. There's another picture for floor and deck hole covers. It's pretty self-explanatory. They need to be secured, clearly marked, and capable of supporting 2 times the weight that will be on it. You usually don't want to set tools, materials, equipment, people on holes. That's why you need to indicate that it's a hole. In that example on the right, it's probably secured, it's probably capable of supporting 2 times the weight. It's got 2x4s and plywood on top, seems pretty sturdy, but it's not labeled. You need to clearly mark that it's either a hole or a cover. Use a big Sharpie, use spray paint, use tape, use whatever you need to label that it's a hole or cover. Next, we have GFCI outlets and attachments. Again, that stands for Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter. This has to be used on all power tools on site. What this does is prevents power surges from the job site power source from affecting your tools. And on the opposite side, if your tool starts drawing too much power, it's not going to blow a breaker on site. Instead, it's going to pop right in the middle where that circle and line are. This protects both you and your tools and the job site's power. Next, we're going to move on and go through the safety quiz. Go ahead and reference any of those visuals as we're working through it. They can be pretty helpful. Question 1. Construction employees inspecting, investigating, and/or assessing a roof before the start of construction or after all work has been completed are required to have fall protection. This is false. It might seem counterintuitive. The reason for this is if there's an inspector or someone else who's on the roof while no construction is happening, it's actually safer for them to just get up, do what they need to do, and come back down. If it's during construction, which is when you're going to be on the roof, you always need to have fall protection regardless of what you're doing. If you are inspecting a roof but it's during construction, you need to have fall protection. 2. Fall protection is required by OSHA construction rules at heights of 6 feet or greater. 3. Scaffold protection for workers is required by OSHA at heights greater than 10 feet. 4. According to OSHA rules, the attachment point to the wearer of a body harness in a PFA, personal fall arrest, system must be located in the center of the back, shoulder level. 5. For fall protection during roofing work, warning lines must be at what height to comply with OSHA rules? That is 34 to 39, as outlined in that picture. What is the maximum number of workers a safety monitor is allowed to monitor according to OSHA? There is no stated maximum. A safety monitor is someone whose only job is to make sure that people are being safe on site. They're either going to have a different colored vest on or a labeled vest that says safety monitor. They make sure that you're not doing anything unsafe, getting too close to an edge, or anything of that sort. Tylee doesn't often use safety monitors, but we want you to be aware of them. As long as the safety monitor can see, hear, and is on the same working level as who they're supervising, then there is no limit to how many people they can supervise. 7. Anchors used as an attachment for PFA equipment must be capable of supporting 5,000 pounds per employee attached. We broke out the math in that picture. 8. Guardrails must be capable of withstanding only 200 pounds of force applied within 2 inches of the top edge in any downward or outward direction at any point along the top edge. 9. According to OSHA rules, an unprotected cider edge means a cider edge without a wall or guardrail system at least, magic number, 39 inches in height. 10 is the same answer because it's asking the same question. So if an unprotected cider edge is less than 39, parapets must be at least 39 inches tall to be used for fall protection. Hopefully that makes sense. 11. A safety monitor must be on the same working level as the workers being monitored. True. 12. Workers are allowed between the warning line and roof edge only if either A, B, or C. They can see and hear the safety monitor, if they have a personal fall arrest or fall restraint system on. All of those are okay. What's not okay is if your foreman just says it's okay. That's the whole reason we're doing this safety exercise with you. If there's something on site that directly contradicts what we're talking about, you need to speak up about it. Mechanical equipment may not be used or stored in any area where a safety monitor is being used to monitor workers engaged in roofing work on low slope roofs. If you're a flat worker, low slope is 412 pitch or less. If you're doing sheet metal, you're often going to be on a little bit steeper roofs. This one is true. 14. The top of a ladder must be extended at least 3 feet or 3 rungs above the upper landing surface. 15. A crane's hook or load line can be used as an anchor for a PFA system if all of the above. 16. In residential construction, a written fall protection plan may be used in certain circumstances if conventional fall protection is not possible or creates a greater hazard. 17. Many swing fall hazards can be prevented by being sure anchors are installed directly above a worker. Of course, like we said, on a roof that can be hard to do. So make sure that your anchor is free and clear, or that it's elevated to the best that you can do. 18. Covers for holes in a roof surface must be able to support C, 2 times the weight of workers, equipment, and material imposed. 19. Workers in state plan states may follow either federal OSHA fall protection rules or the state's rules on fall protection, whichever is more protective of the worker. This is false, and it might be counterintuitive again. What this is saying is that you always need to follow federal OSHA protection laws. 20. The OSHA construction regulations provide detailed methods and procedures for performing rescue operations when a worker has fallen while wearing a PFA system. Again, this might be counterintuitive. The answer is false. OSHA will tell you how to prevent yourself from getting injured, but does not address when someone actually gets hurt. Your next step, unless you have first aid training, EMT certification, or any other kind of emergency responder training, is to just call 911. Once someone gets hurt, it's kind of out of your hands. Call 911, which is the answer to the next question. The first step in any rescue emergency is to call 911. A lot of people will put alert your supervisor. While you should be doing that ideally at the same time or maybe immediately after, don't hesitate to call 911 to get your supervisor's approval. If you see an emergency happen on site and you have that thought cross your mind, should I call 911? Pull out your phone and immediately call an ambulance. Eye protection is required at all times. 23, electrical cords must be all of the above. 24, if you find a damaged tool, you should place a lockout tag on the tool and tell your foreman. A lockout tag ideally is going to be a paper tag with a metal twist tie on it that you can tie around the tool or piece of equipment. You can also write on there what was broken, what day, who did it. But if you don't have that, just make sure that there's a clear indication on the tool that it's unfit for use, then set it aside. 25. Ladders must be kept at least 10 feet from overhead power lines. However, be as far away from power lines as possible. Do not mess around with power lines. 10 feet is the minimum. Be further away than that. 26. Extension ladders must be tied off at all times. 27. How far must warning lines be set back from the roof edge when mechanical equipment is used? 6 feet in the direction parallel to travel, 10 feet perpendicular to travel. Of course, if you can't remember, just do 10 feet all the time for mechanical. If there is no mechanical equipment, do 6 feet all the time. 28. Fall protection harnesses, lanyards, ropes, and anchors must be inspected daily or several times a day if you take it off. 29. How many workers can tie off to a fall protection anchor? Just one. 30. Hole covers must be all of the above. 31. What is not an acceptable fall protection method on steep roofs? B. Neither A nor B are good enough on a steep roof. If you have a steep roof and someone starts falling down, and if the safety monitor says, hey, that's not safe, they will continue falling down. If you have a steep roof and you set up warning lines, someone starts falling down, those warning lines aren't going to stop them at all. The only thing that's safe on a steep roof is fall protection harnesses. 32. What is a positive way to prevent back injuries? That is all of the above. This is easier said than done. Make sure that you're stretching every day, maybe even a couple times a day, because that's really important to your success on site. 33. What are the 3 points of contact while using a ladder? There's a variety of things that you could have said. The technical right answer is 2 hands and 1 foot, or 2 feet and 1 hand. Both of those are true. You need 3 points of contact with your limbs on a ladder. 34. Who's most likely to have an accident while on site? It's you. New guys are the most likely to be hurt. Again, that is regardless of experience. So, for the next 30 to 90 days, have that thought several times a day. I'm the most likely to get hurt. What am I doing about it? Finally, 35, the guy on the right is lifting correctly. Again, that is easier said than done. Lifting injuries are one of our most common workers' comp claims. Make sure that you're either lifting smart, lifting with a buddy, or using the right equipment to lift heavy tools, materials, and equipment. That is the end of your safety quiz. Hopefully you learned a lot. Make sure to review your safety quiz, your safety pictures, and your safety rules, policies, and procedure packet again prior to your first day.